Welcome everybody to the Wolf of Wallsend, the most sporadic sales podcast out there and the least professional of them all. Special
Agreed.
guest, special guest with us here today is Mr. Jack Sharpe, Head of Business Development, say for Netherlands, regional, right, isn't it, for Suade Labs,
Yeah,
based over in Amsterdam, aren't you? Is that right?
correct.
Whereabouts in the Dam are you based?
I might pronounce this wrong now, but the Barstages.
Right.
We were going to be looking for a place called the Pipe, which we were calling the Pidgeot for ages. So we just chose one that was easier to pronounce without making yourself look stupid over here.
Brilliant. I've been over there about 7 times now. Funny story once. Got the ferry over from the port here in Newcastle. Got so rat-arsed on the way over there that we slept in and missed the docking. So we had to stay on the ferry all day whilst everyone was out exploring Amsterdam. And then when they got back on the ferry, we just left and went home.
Man, it sounds about right. The first time we came over here, we meant to go out to a bar or club 3 nights in a row and never made one. And kept passing out. So yeah, I know the feeling.
How long have you been out there?
Not long, man. Just 4 weeks. So
oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Made the decision earlier in the year that I wanted to sort of move on from London. I'd been there 4 years. Obviously, I'm a Dublin man myself. And then sort of suggested it to the CEO, COO that, we have a green field over here, not really being, sold into it all. I'd sort of sold a good few deals in the UK as an account exec, and sort of said, listen, it'd be a good opportunity to sort of dip the toes in the water to try and set up a branch out here. So hopefully win some clients in the next sort of 6 months, and then that'll justify a legitimate branch, I guess.
Brilliant. Oh, that's excellent. And what gave you the sense of the Netherlands then? Do you see a big sprawling financial services and perhaps even fintech ecosystem cropping up?
Yeah, so we sell into banks, and there's 49 banks or financial institutions over here, which isn't a small number. And I think just personally as well, I was like, I want to be in English speaking, like it is predominantly, even though it isn't a country, to make the transition easier. Always looked like a nice place to live from a standard of living point of view. And that combined with my girlfriend was happy to do the move as well. So it all sort of came together nicely, and that's why we jumped at it.
Brilliant. Oh, that's excellent to hear. I would love to. I do love living here in Newcastle, right on the coast down here at Time Out.
Yeah.
I grew up. It was either like New York, Paris, big city like that, and I've kind of grown out of it a little bit. But I always think, that would be a real adventure, and not necessarily something for the long term. Some people go over there for a few years, come back. Some people stay there, right, domicile there. But I just can't do it. My missus, she's been with the NHS since she was 17. She's worked her way up, and she's got like a real strong community there, knows everything back to front.
Yeah.
I've tried to go, right, you could do your job for GSK privately and you could make an absolute fortune, not be overworked and under resourced. But I think I'm going to be tied down to Newcastle unless I can nick off for like 5 days a week or something. But then that would mean leaving the dog. So I'm tied down, but I am a bit jealous, albeit I do love where I'm at.
Listen, don't be. Everyone's jealous. The grass is always greener, isn't that it?
Yeah, definitely. So just roll into the questions then. I'll give you a bit of prep on this one beforehand, so it was a bit of a one that you'll be ready for. But interested to know, as with everyone that jumps onto this podcast, what's your story, mate? How did you find yourself into the sales world? Did you fall into it like the rest of us?
I think college, prior to university, I wanted to just get a sort of degree that there was lots of jobs in, because that was the sort of chat back then. Didn't really have a head on my shoulders, to be honest, to make the decisions myself still at that point. So followed in sort of cousin's footsteps, I guess. He had done a course called Management Science and Information Systems in Trinity College in Dublin, and he seemed to enjoy it. And it was a mix of finance, computer science, statistics, maths, business. It was a whole host of things. So applied for that, got it, loved the course, loved the people. It's real tough. I didn't really like the technical aspect of it that much, but in order to get over to London then, which I really wanted to do, I wanted to leave Dublin pretty much straight out of uni. I joined a consultancy firm called First Derivatives. It's one of the bigger ones in Ireland, in Northern Ireland actually, and went up to a small town in Newry for 3 months where you did some like training, and then they posted you out to different parts of the world. My one was London, so that got me over there. And then within a year, I left because I was working in the London Stock Exchange or the London Clearing House as like a business analyst, and I just hated it. Besides the fact that everyone was a lot better than me at it, and I just didn't enjoy the sort of all the analysis stuff. But I was like, I need to get in front of clients. I need to, be involved more directly with the success of a company. And then that sort of looked at revenue. My dad's also been a salesman all his life, in telecommunications, and sort of from there, I sort of felt, yes, maybe sales is just sort of aligns with what I like to do sort of day in, day out, and maybe something I'd be good at.
Yeah, brilliant. That's good to hear. Well, definitely, I wouldn't imagine you looking back at that analyst job and thinking you missed much, because on a weekly basis you hear about people chucking themselves out of windows and stuff. So, yeah.
Horror stories, man.
I know. Either that or you're seriously addicted to cocaine and you never get any sleep. Yeah, that's a big culture.
One after the other.
Yeah, line and window. We met initially through Revenue Collective Roundtable, didn't we? And I met some great people on them, and a lot of the people that have been on this podcast actually have came through those roundtables. So it's good to get you back in, mate. It's good to hear a little bit more about the story.
Absolutely.
Sounds like you've been in this sort of, well, it's quite interesting actually. So you were at First Derivatives, right? And then you were business analyst there, right? So all numbers around global stock exchanges, I imagine. And your first sales role, was that then still in the finance space? Because you're still there now, right? So have you went off track, tried different industries, different propositions, or are you just a money man?
Suade was first one straight from First Derivatives.
Brilliant.
So I've been there 2.5, close to 3 years now. So that was my first, and still is my first sort of sales job. Went in when the company was, 15 people, pre-Series A, whatever you want to call it. But they were a bootstrap business, so they were pretty solid and profitable since year one, and they'd been around for about 5 years. So went in as sort of, I guess, a BDR role, but it wasn't even called that. It wasn't really called anything. It was sort of junior sales, but I did marketing and stuff as well for them. Just sort of a utility player, I guess, under the CEO, and then sort of head of sales who's moved into product now, and then sort of slowly started understanding sales. Did a lot of self-learning, mostly through the likes of Revenue Collective Pavilion. We had no structured learning with we didn't in Suade in terms of a sales role, so you kind of had to just sort of jump in the deep end, learn on the job. Diana, the CEO, she's true and true salesperson, and definitely sort of absorbed a lot of sales know-how from her, and then that mixed with Revenue Collective with a more structure, chatting to my dad about different scenarios as it was going along, just sort of helped me develop. And so then just got into sort of more of account exec, where I was, I was obviously always already prospecting, but then just doing the full sales cycle. Then my first closed the first bank about year and a half ago, after a year of, they're long deal cycles here. So you can be at things for 12 to 16, 18 months, which is it's a long time to be talking to people, and it gets into the sort of proper politics of a place and all the sort of psychology. So I love that side of it. I think I prefer that to, not that I know, but I think I would prefer it to more sort of transactional, high volume sales. I like the complex ones.
Yeah, you can really sink your teeth in. You know, I nearly took a job once that wanted 52 a closed deal pretty much for every day of the year was a 50 or 55.
Yeah.
Closed, it's like lowish volume.
Yeah.
Highish volume, lowish value.
Yeah.
And it was a great opportunity, but I was thinking, shit, like what am I doing at the moment? One deal a quarter, biggins, though, right? And they're really worth it. And I think one thing that I've definitely learned, and not just from my experience, from watching other people's experience, maybe not so much with like widgets, right? If you're selling highly transactional things that are a few £100, but in the grands, the battle for the money is still the same. So it's like, do I want to win 6 or 12 deals a year, get a big old fat commission check, or do I want to stress the same amount every week and just get little dribbles here and there?
All over the place.
Yeah. So I definitely align with you there. I would definitely agree wholeheartedly. I think it's the bigger challenge, and I bet after a year having been in the BDR role, moved to that full cycle role and got that first win, probably no feeling like it, right? Whether personally or professionally. What do you think when you think back to that? How do you think what was going through your head when you first saw that notification come through, right? John Smith has signed on the dotted line. You kind of get a bit giddy, don't you?
Yeah, no, man. It is a good feeling. The weird one with the long cycles though is that you know that the deal's closed, even maybe for a couple of months. So it starts to you never fully know, and it can always be pushed out. Fair enough, but like a lot of them, from maybe 2 months out. So it's kind of like you're celebrating in your head, but then you're not. And then once the signature comes, it's more of a relief than a big sort of yes, like high fives all around. It's kind of it's you've done you've had your fun. But I think just getting those sort of fat quarterly commissions rather than, as you say, the sprinkles here and there, that's when you started being like, okay, I'm compounding nicely here. It's actually making a difference to my life. And if you use that commission wisely, which I try to, I think it just does make a huge difference, to people's personal lives. And that's what's so great about the profession as well itself. It can actually be pretty life-changing for people. So it's one of those.
I always, when training up new SDRs, new starters, junior sales execs, whatever you want to call them, right? Say no profession quite like sales. Some hate it, some think they're above it, some aren't fit for it. But it's definitely something you need to persevere at. You'll definitely not know if you want to stick at it for the first 6 months, maybe even a year or more. But it is the only job, or at least that I can think of, outside of being like an influencer or a pop star or a movie star, where you can earn hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds, maybe a year, maybe every few years, with bugger all qualification.
Yeah.
Just a few books, right, on psychology, and then a few, good organizational practices and stuff like that. Sales process understanding. If you want to, and that's not saying, because I went to university as well. I studied marketing and advertising at Northumbria.
Right.
And I'd like to think that I use some of that today. Especially when I see it coming off my payslip every month on the student loan company. But I don't think I do. But I went there. I'd done it. I then went into financial services myself. Actually, I out of university got a role selling pensions, essentially, and thought, right, I want to be a financial advisor. All these guys will be flying over from Dubai or Singapore or Hong Kong or London with their initials. stitched on the end of their shirt, and I think, oh, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. But then that business wound up in the UK, still operating, and found myself as an SDR at a company called Durham Lane, which actually would have been where you met me initially.
Yeah.
And even 6 months into that, I was still kind of doing qualifications in the background, but I think it was easier to do when it was your job, right? And you could put a couple hours aside during the day to study. But once you've been smashing the phones all day and you get home, the last thing you want to do is put your head into paper. Or at least I don't. I'm not that type of person. So even 6, 7 or 8 months into that role, because I was smashing the phones before that, but then doing the qualifications as well, because I thought, right, I'm too good for this. And then when I got into the SDR role at Durham Lane, I was thinking, well, got these qualifications in the background, great career financial advisor, and it wasn't until I started integrating a little bit more of the business, seeing some of the deals that were being won, talking to some of the people in the new business team, that I was like, money can be just as good.
Yeah.
And I don't need to worry about FCA red tape or continued professional development, at least if I don't want to. So it's an interesting space, but yeah, I always say to people, like, look, it might not be for you, but if you stick to it, well, you can not just all about money, right? I'm not that shallow, although I did buy a new kettle and toaster today for like 300 quid, which was really nice. Day after payday, getting old, but it's
be the best toast in the world.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's like, instead of having 4 slots, right, it's a one super long one that's really slick, sits at the back of the bench, Morphy Richards, and you can get two slots, but you can get 2 slices in each slot.
Wicked.
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant. So I'm going to be at the bakery tomorrow getting some artisan super neat sourdough, ciabatta or something like that, and giving it a whirl.
Yeah, so nice one. I mean, like, I think you're right. I mean, I before getting into sales was just, I would have thought, or even when I started my first sort of 6 months, Dad, I think he did like because he works in like sales training now, and he has these sort of tests and sort of what would you call them? Tests,
certifications.
Yeah, no, it's more of like understanding your competencies in sales, and it's sort of like the best players in the team versus the worst, but obviously all in a very training atmosphere environment. And I did it.
OMG.
He was one of the OMG ones, exactly.
Yeah.
So he uses that methodology, or that company's standard, and they it spat out a lot of bads. Like I scored really poorly, and I think I'd love to do it again now, because I think then I was like, I don't actually care about money. I want to do this, for the just sort of good of the clients and all that sort of stuff, and blah blah blah. But then once you do get a taste for it, like, I mean, it's not about being greedy, and it's not about being shallow. It's just, as I say, once you can start building and start seeing a trajectory and building a bit of a comfort and stability for yourself in your own personal life, it's such a nice motivator to have, that you put work in and you get some more out. It's unlike any other sort of people banging their heads off walls and trying their best, but they're shooting for 15% increases in their pay slips, and that's tough, I'd say.
And I bet it's a nice feeling as well in your position, right, when you could potentially even walk down the high street there, and walk down the Harlem Strat there in Amsterdam, and see like a bank that you've signed up, right?
Yeah, that's nice. I'm trying to get one of the smaller challenger guys, like the two of my sort of prouder ones in the UK are challenger banks. The like that probably can't disclose on the call, but the ones with all the money transfer and all that sort of stuff. So it's cool getting those sort of guys rather than the traditional folk, because no one really cares. But when they start like selling stuff to people, to banks that people have actually heard about, they have a bit of street cred, as it were, then that's always fun as well.
Brilliant. So what are the tools of the trade for you then? You mentioned, and I don't know, this would be kind of a different answer to what I normally would get, but you've mentioned revenue collective a couple of times, and it seems like you're getting immense value from that from a development side. But if I was to pick one, be Cognizant, be Lusher, allow me to get someone's mobile number so I can skip the dance of email. And I'm not saying there's not a place for that, right? But you get more done when you can talk to someone in real time.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
But what would your tools of the trade be, Jack? And I imagine
like I haven't got and I think I mentioned to you the last time we spoke, I only got the Zoom info, all those sort of that call database, number database quite recently. So had few numbers and hadn't really flexed the cold calling muscle until 6 months ago. So it was all being done by I don't know if you've heard mail merge tool. It's like connects your like Microsoft Word with Microsoft Excel with Microsoft Outlook and automates sending emails. It's brutal stuff, and you get obviously no feedback of open rates, engagement, etc. So you're just sending it blind, and then if someone replies, then great, and if they don't, then you have no clue what happened. I think cold calling's like it's an awesome skill, and something I'm sure that you're a lot better than I am. I still the likes of Benjamin
Dennehy.
I
was getting some free consulting and free training from him last week. I plugged him in.
You could not have done that. The whole point is that he can't get any free training. The YouTube videos even that he had, like that I just built a script around the sort of key sort of pattern interrupts and psychology he had around there, and that's already worked really well. And then like the revenue collective, the sort of courses in there, the one that I first did and the one that still I get the most value from is the managing the complete sales cycle with I can't remember Ben Wright
and him from
the guy from ScaleWise, founder of ScaleWise.
That's gonna annoy me. I've done that one. Yeah, he's just probably not listening, so I thought.
I was about to say if he's listening, which I don't know if he will be, then sorry about that, Paul. You're a great trainer. But I think I got some class structure out of that. Just even the BAM FAMs, following up from a meeting, like making sure you're booking that in, having a really good structure to, follow-ups from discovery calls, follow-ups from post-demo follow-ups, just to, keep the road, keep the thing going. And then, even what we're talking about there last week, the mutual action plans, things like that. That you start building into just standard sales process that can, accelerate deals. I think for me, that's the most important thing, given the long and complex deal cycles. Being able to keep things progressing at a nice momentum is so important. If things go dead or slow, then they're as good as gone.
I got immense value from that course, and I actually put myself in the limelight for one of the little role play scenarios that they done as well, and it was good. I think I could have done better. I was a bit nervous actually. I got stage.
Sure you were. Sure you bloody were.
It was the first time that they done it as well, so there was about maybe 80 people on there.
Yeah, I'd say there was. There was some
big dogs as well, and I was like,
trying
to get my words
out. At you behind the screen.
I would do much better. But it was really good, and you're right. I bam someone this morning, and I wouldn't have. It's something you know to do, but they make it a process, and when you hear them doing it in the way that they teach in that course, I'm the same. I like the Sir Clive Woodward one. I can't remember what it's called, but I think maybe
lead coach win or no,
I don't think
some leadership one.
Yeah, it was a leadership, and it was like all about how we helped the 2003 rugby England rugby team to win the World Cup, and then the Olympics, and 1% better every day, and get everything from good pillows for them for a good night's sleep through to optimizing the nutrition diet, etc. That was good, but I think a lot of it was like, oh, he's a sporting hero. But with managing the complete sales cycle, I went through it
practical.
probably twice. Once live, the second time using all of the offline resources. It definitely helped me develop a lot as a person and win a lot of business as well.
I agree. I think it's the best one. Did you try did you get, like, because RevOps is obviously a huge sort of thing at the moment, and it's up and coming, and I've been trying to, I did one of the revenue, I can't remember what it was called, build design. It was your man Peter. Geez, we're really not good with the names today. But yeah, I did that revenue operations course, and I was just a bit too far away from it to sort of practicalize it and bring it into my day-to-day. And I'm not as much of a numbers man or whiz on the old Excels, and I feel like you need a certain competency on that.
You do. I haven't got it.
So I think that would be, in terms of moving into when you say sales development roles, like heads of sales development roles and that sort of thing, you want to get good at that shit. It's just having it sort of pit pat makes your life so much easier instead of fucking Googling every time you want to connect a table with another table.
I remember I was in like the final stages of a deal cycle, and someone asked for a waterfall chart, and I was like, go tap the finance manager on the shoulder, and I was like, have you ever made a waterfall chart? Obviously. What do you think? Of course I have. And there's me just with zero
understanding of what's going on.
Leadership / business acumen. I find it, I can knock the door down, and I can tee it up and win it now. But when that becomes a signed deal, that's something that I really want to get under my belt, is managing the cash, but not necessarily the cash flow, right? Because that's accounting or whatever, but exactly what you're saying, right? Being able to
forecasting
the business numbers, forecasting beyond just myself going, I've got a good feeling about this one. I reckon it could be 200k a month. I'm
gonna make loads of money.
He said that he can sign on the dotted line. Are you sure? Well, there's 10 other people in the business that also need a sign on it, but he sounded pretty certain.
He sounded like a nice guy.
He was saying all the right things for a manager. Anyway. Well, look, that last question, it was kind of a bit of a dual prong one, leaning into what I like to ask and what I like to close off on is, what's your favorite sales media, Jack? What do you consume, whether it be watch, listen, read, that, and that's what I mean by, you've said the revenue collective there, right? But maybe a little bit less professional development and a little bit more tongue in cheek. And again, you've mentioned Ben Dennehy's stuff, but like, what makes you think I'm going to get out there and I'm going to make it rain?
I did get into some of the podcasts last year, and then I just realized, I wasn't really taking any of it in. I think unless you're listening to them with a notepad and taking some notes, then it's in one ear and out the other.
Especially this one.
Absolutely. You learn nothing from this, I can tell you that. But yeah, I think the sales acceleration formula by Mike Roberge, ex chief revenue officer of HubSpot. That's a sick book. Now, admittedly, I haven't finished it yet. I've been reading it for a while, sort of in and out. But it's more like a guide, and they have clear chapters. There's like a training chapter, how to scale training, how to scale hiring, how to just completely operationalize the sales process. It's just building, and he because he's an ex-engineer from MIT. Right. You can just feel like that. He's just so structured. He builds processes and he just executes them. So he's a great thinker, and I would definitely recommend that to anyone. Any sort of level of sales, but definitely if you're starting to get into that sort of leadership role where you're going to build a team out, that's I think that's like almost like a Bible, I'd say. Other than that, then some good fellas and girls on LinkedIn that pump out some stuff that I was just sort of, your man John Bissett, and then your man, that discovery guy, always has good discovery questions, which I saved down. Charles Mulgore or something like that. He's class because he just sort of reminds you every time. I always just go into my saved post before like a discovery call, go into my saved post, and there's usually about 5 or 10 that I've saved, and just sort of gets you into that mentality of, you know, proper discovery, being curious. You know, don't let anything, you know, don't cut any sort of line of questioning off too early, and always dig deeper. I think those ones are great refreshers.
Yeah, that's good. You're right, actually. There, I might check that out because recently I've always done it. You're that eager to take your questions off that sometimes you might overlook something that they've said when you can dig deeper into it. You know, we talk about level 1, 2, and 3 questions, and sometimes I'll just get a load of level 1 questions. And I'll be like, all right, okay, got this many reps. You use this CRM, yeah, brilliant. But if you dug into what CRM they use and how shit they think it is, next thing you know, you've got a quick win on your hands instead of just a page full of notes that you could maybe get from LinkedIn.
Yeah. Or the last one that you had, you know, if you start seeing too much repetition in your post discovery call notes, as in, you know, all the same sort of problems, you know that it's just you already assuming, and just sort of, you know, you've done it too many times, and that means that you're almost in autopilot mode, and you're just like, yeah, I've heard that one, like I knew what he meant or she meant there, and that's when you know it's getting a bit into your head, and you need to start treating every call, you know, as if it's the first one you've done, and get very curious about it. That's what I caught myself out doing that about 3 months ago, and I was like, listen, these all just look the same, and that's not good. That means that it's not resonating with them either. It means that they start to catch on to you. They're very clever, and they start catching on that, you know, you're really just you're just putting us into a bucket here that you always put other prospects into.
Brilliant. Yeah. Oh, well, that's a good place to end it. Very, very thought-provoking. Get in there, start thinking about your discovery. It's the most important part, right? You know, you can throw all the proposals at someone that you want, but if they don't have any salt, you know what I mean, it's a hard one. Another good book as well, actually, just to tag on the end of that as well. You know, as you say, opening up a branch over there, something that you might be instrumental in, and imagine will come with a lot of challenges, a lot of stresses of leadership and having brick and mortar on the ground over there and all that stuff. So a lot of stress will come, a lot of different challenges. I've listened to a lot of audiobooks on it, but I've actually got a physical version of it now, is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. So he's not the father of Stoicism, actually. That was Pheno or Epictetus, but Roman Emperor 161 AD, died 180 AD. You ever watch Gladiator? He's the old man at the start of Gladiator that gets killed by Joaquin Phoenix, who's an absolute bastard. But he stayed calm and focused and reasonable, and just all of the traits of a great man that doesn't let shit get to him, like letting deals slip, for instance, if you're looking at our world, or annoying people that you have to deal with, or inaction. And he was, you know, on the front lines of the fighting barbarians in Germany, across France. You know, there was a plague in Rome at the time he was emperor, and you know, they've got these battles on all fronts, right? Barbarians here, you've got the Syrians or whatever here, coming from Turkey, coming from the Middle East. He's got this plague going on back at home, and he stays calm, cool, and collected throughout all of it, where most would have just crumbled. So like the Meditations is all about his processes, things he would do when he would wake up in the morning, things he would do before he would go to bed at night, practical tips to help you stay level-headed.
That's good, man.
And help you. He talks a lot about I can't remember what value perceptions or something like that, but basically when you take something at face value, right, and you talk about those discovery questions, actually, you know, I've heard that one all before. He's tired of his CRM, it doesn't integrate with enough other tools, not enough people use it. Done deal, heard it all before. But it's not taking that initial initial value. Sorry, it's not taking that initial perception at hand. It's thinking of things outside of your own lens, thinking of it from all lenses. And then once you start to do that, right, you think, oh, why is this person an arsehole? Oh, that's why. I can understand why I would be probably even a bigger arsehole if I was in that position, actually. And then it helps you see the world in a different light. So it's a hard one to read because it's 2,000 years old, right? Nearly.
Yeah, I was about to say how easy a read is that, because I'm not the most dedicated reader. So, but I definitely I like picking books up at different times when you're feeling it, and then I'm putting them back down again. But that's interesting. Definitely not what I was expecting to come out of your mouth anyway.
Yeah. After that, I like to read EP10. if that's even still in circulation.
That's
Or
not a
Nuts
thing.
magazine.
Nuts and Zoo.
Well, look, Jack, it's been a pleasure. I know we got this in the diary on a pretty short term, right? So thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. I know you've got a call in a couple of minutes now. So pleasure to have you on. Have a lovely weekend, mate, and all the best.
You too, my man. Absolute pleasure. Look after yourself, and we'll speak soon.